I'm ready. I'm ready if you guys are ready.
Okay, yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, Ray.
Hello
tell
there,
us about Ray.
Ray here, and I'm joined by the fellow ProTech members as well as our special guest, Logical Geek Boy, also another YouTuber. Hello.
Hey guys, how's it
Hello.
going? Thanks for inviting me on. Super excited to check this out. I
high five!
I wasn't so excited about this thing. Look, this box is called Illogical Geek Boys. I'm not very happy about that. So yeah, thanks for that.
That's good.
At least you know we
Very
love
nice.
you.
Okay, so are we going to maybe do some intros so everyone knows who's who?
Yeah, go ahead. Go first, Logic.
Okay, yeah, so I am Logical Geek Boy, as Ray says, and I've got a YouTube channel where I have a single-player series called Beyond Logic, and yeah, I do some kind of creative farms and stuff like that, and I've got a huge Death Star in the end that I've built. We've got a Millennium Falcon, we've got Starship Enterprise, X-Wings, that kind of stuff, and yeah, some interesting farms and contraptions that are a bit different to you might have seen before. But yeah, that's me, that's what I get up to, so how about you guys?
I'll go next. I'm Ray's Works, and I am also a YouTuber, and I've been on the server for almost all 5 years, not quite. And I really got into technical Minecraft because it's just a different way of kind of playing the normal survival world, which got me interested and allows me to continue to play the game even 10 years after I started.
Okay.
So first off, we're gonna go off to the lightning farm, as we call it, maybe 5 to 10 different farms that actually encompass it. And once everybody is in the nether, like everybody's in the nether, I'm actually going to try to start the farm. So I usually just fly to 1,000, and that'll get you pretty close. So you'll be able to
Anybody
see
got
it.
any rockets?
Oh, you're done with sleeping then.
How was your nap?
You can just go
Did
into
you-
the overworld.
Did you guys all
very
fly
short
there?
one.
Is that where
It
you
was a
went?
5.
Yes.
Yes, we're
I don't-
flying
Okay,
to
the
Just be
1,000.
portal is
careful
more
not to be in the overworld when the weather changes.
1,850. If you
Yeah,
don't
for now,
mind.
just don't go into that big nether portal.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ray.
It actually works is Ray is sleeping in the overworld,
Okay.
and that's being detected by an observer on his bed, and that sends a signal over to the nether by a minecart that goes through the portal.
All right.
And the moment the game tick before he stops sleeping, this instant wire triggers, and at the other side there's a portal where an
Oopsie,
item will get
wrong way.
dispensed into
And
it.
this
And that just
instant wire
loads
is
chunks. Yeah, that just loads chunks, which is the whole RNG manipulation. So it's just necessary to load specific chunks in the overworld, and then when the next game tick happens, it will change. He will stop sleeping, and then the game will decide how long the next weather cycle will be, because
Right.
sleeping resets the weather.
Okay. And that's random.
But that's random. But
Mhm.
we manipulate it by loading those chunks, so we can actually control how long this weather cycle will be.
Right. Okay. Makes sense.
So we know the exact game tick the weather will change next, and then we just continue from there. And each time the weather changes, we load a different chunk, so we can continue to control when the weather changes, and that way we can minimize the sunny times and maximize the time it thunders.
Right. And so all this redstone up here and stuff, is that a loading grid here as well to load chunks on the nether side? Is that to do with it as well?
A few of them are chunk loading grids just to keep the necessary chunks loaded in the nether, but most of it's just kind of instant wires to go out to the chunks really far away in the overworld, which you need to load for the weather cycle. Right,
and is that done through portals? So do you have portals all over the place that maybe shooting items through, that kind of thing? Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, Zerk, maybe just take us
not all
to
over the
one of
place.
them.
There's a
Yeah,
four,
just
so-
Okay.
over here. Just follow this line here. Maybe just write the coordinates in chat. We're here
Okay,
at
right. Okay.
Logic's here.
Yeah, I'm here.
740.
Well, this is
Can I log in right now and find that spawn, or will
860.
that break something?
Right. Okay.
Yeah, you can log in.
So,
All right.
So it loads this 5 So there's instant wires to load the 5x5 chunks around the portal.
Right.
So it's entity processing,
Mhm.
and then it just triggers the dropper
Right.
here to shoot an item into the portal.
Okay, so this works. The magic behind this is to load the right chunks at the right time to control the random numbers that Minecraft uses, and that means you can control the weather.
Yeah, and the nice thing about loading it from the Nether actually is that the overworld is already done processing, so there's nothing that can interfere, or there's almost nothing that can interfere with the random seed after we loaded it from the Nether.
Right. Okay. So we've all left the overworld. So if there was a player in the overworld playing that kind of thing, would that interfere with the random numbers that goes on?
It can
might
do, but only very rarely.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, the only
sometimes
things that
stops.
you'd have to do, you'd have to like walk across the chunk on the exact same game tick as the weather changes, or you'd have to like.
Oh no,
open the
not
chest, there's a
even
couple
that.
things
I think
to
it's
make
just
it.
completely different things. It's because if you walk around,
I think that would break it because it's in the right.
Oh no,
mode.
it would break it. Yeah, right. It would break it because the player
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of these locations where you have the portals, like what's special about that particular location, that chunk, I suppose? Like why couldn't you pick the chunk next to it?
The code that resets the seed has something to do with the generation of the mentions.
Oh right.
There aren't any mentions
The
generated,
mentions,
of course, but it resets the seed anyways for some reason, for some weird reason. That's just some leftover code there, I think.
Well, it needs to pick a location in like Yeah, I like Lucius's idea, but we need to
It's just because
basically
Minecraft
it
is
needs
a messed
to
up code base.
pick a
It uses the
location.
same object that for the world's randomness and for generating and for finding the locations for the mentions.
Okay.
So it resets that to a known value, and that value depends on where you are and where in the world the chunk is that is getting loaded.
Okay. Cool.
Let's head back to.
I think it was an 80 by 80 chunk area. I'm not sure anymore.
Yeah, 80 by 80.
Quite long ago. So the game tries to find a location for a mention in each 80 by 80 chunk area, and so the seed for each 80 by 80 chunk area is different. We just need to load any chunk in that area.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And Earth Computer wrote
And then
a tool to find those areas. So we can.
So basically, once it's picked a spot in the 80 by 80 area, it then checks if it's a roofed forest, and then if it is a roofed forest, then it spawns a mansion. And
but if the mansion is already spawned, it will still.
But that doesn't matter for this
seed.
because all that matters. Yeah.
Yeah, all that matters is that it sets the seed.
The sun is going down, but one thing I might kind of explain it. If we go back to your clocks over here, I think it's over here, right?
Just follow the line back.
So you have individual lines that go away from this, and then you actually marked it.
So it just lagged. That
maybe just point out each of these signs and explain like one like rain turns on, rain turns off.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Okay, I'm ready. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's just wires going onto different portals here. This wire gets triggered whenever the rain cycle turns off, so when it stops raining, and that exact game tick, it's gonna trigger the dispenser or the dropper at the portal. And then there are those 2 cycles that I mentioned, and depending on if we need a longer or shorter cycle, it will trigger one or the other.
And then you have some more of these lines like over here or something that go for the thunder, right?
The other lines are for thunder, exactly.
Okay, so it's pretty much similar thing, but.
Oh yeah, we had 2 of those as well. We have 2 thunder and 2 rain locations.
Maybe
because we not only have to synchronize them to each other, we also have to keep them away from the autosave to keep the instant fire from breaking. So
Maybe give
it's
a brief
even a little bit more
explanation
complicated.
about your slimestone counter.
This limestone counter is actually a binary counter that can, yeah, that you can reset it and then it starts counting down until it reaches 0.
And then you pre-programmed it, the right number.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I just programmed it with the exact number of game ticks.
So how long did it take to kind of like design this and come up with it? So I guess this kind of starts off with like an idea, a concept, but then how long does it take to actually get a working system like this?
Yeah, what we
I
first
think
did
it was
was
about
just
3 months or
A couple
so.
of months, wasn't it?
I think it was about
Yeah.
3
yeah, maybe it was some time ago.
Yeah, it's
The
usually
lightning
in
farm is
the
actually
region
going
of
off right now. So if you guys want to visit the lightning farm, maybe we should take a look at that because it's running right now.
It went and we had a few iterations to get there. So the first thing we did was just to have one trigger to the portal to another portal.
So I'll go through with logic and I'll show you guys where you can stand. So we go through the portal, we're going to go through and then we're going to kind of go towards the center, which is some glass. So go ahead and go through logic.
Yeah, maybe logic, use your spectator account. You can always go to there with your spectator.
Yeah, that's why
I don't think it's a good idea if we go.
Come up this carpet right here, logic.
Okay.
We can have a look at this after it's running. But if every survival player goes through, that's not
here.
Okay. Wow. Okay, let me get my camera account over as well.
Fine.
Yeah, there's stuff discovered since we made this farm in survival that could make it easier and like more efficient.
Wow.
But
Okay.
it's done.
And less prone to breaking and spawning horses.
All sorts of stuff
else where they don't belong.
Wow. Okay, so obviously there's lots of lightning going on here. So are we getting like a lightning strike every tick? Looks like we're getting like loads of lightning strikes all the time.
Not really. If we would use so many lightning strikes, I think we disabled one off the side, so it's only one every second tick.
Okay.
Because if we did every single tick, then the server couldn't handle it.
Right.
And of course, just too many horses.
It's more that this farm has a flaw where if there's lightning strikes redirected to a skeleton horse, then it doesn't spawn another skeleton horse.
Yeah.
And that's just a flaw we didn't know about when we built this farm.
Right.
It's possible to fix it, but you have to move the farm to a different location.
So obviously there's loads of skeleton horses being spawned. So that is an absolute ton being spawned. So how often? So for every lightning strike, how frequent do these skeleton horses spawn? Do they spawn for every lightning strike or like a percentage?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 100% chance.
100%. Wow.
That's exact. That also has to do with
except when it redirects, like I said.
Right. Okay. I see. Okay.
Yeah, that also has to do with the same mechanic that the weather manipulation depends on. So the spawning, the generation of the mansions. The same seed is used for determining whether a lightning strike spawns a horse. Yeah, at first it's used to...
And whether the lightning strike appears, even.
Yeah, both of those. So first it determines if a lightning strike appears, and then with the same RNG, it's trying to find out if it should spawn a horse. And we found a location where it would set the seed, so both happens always. The only thing we can't control is where exactly the lightning strike will strike inside of the chunk. We can pretty much have it strike in one specific chunk, but we cannot decide where it strikes in that chunk.
Okay, this is amazing. Absolutely. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So I noticed over to the side.
This huge.
Yeah, I was just going
to see all this lava here.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I've just noticed all of this lava over here. So I imagine that's here for a reason. So
How can you not notice it?
exactly. So what's all this lava for?
No, we just felt like decoration.
Yeah.
That was Earth Computer Space, and we griefed it.
No, that I can believe. That I can believe. So what is this lava? What is this lava doing? Is this what is this lava doing?
Okay, so basically, the
yeah, you explained it.
Yeah. So basically, the location we picked, having a lightning strike spawn and a skeleton horse spawn is like, you know, really rare. And if we wanted to do it without the lava, we would have to go really, really far out. Like, if I remember correctly, 100,000 blocks or so, like really far out. But you can move it closer if the seed it like resets to is not quite perfect. You know, the seed is a little bit before in the sequence, and then you call random a few extra times to get it into the right place, if that makes sense. So each chunk over there, like each sub chunk, is completely filled with lava blocks. So if like when the random ticking algorithm happens, it will pick 3 locations in each of those sub chunks and will random tick one of the lavas, and lava calls the random a specific number of times and it gets random ticked.
So so the next question is, how did you get all this lava here in the first place? I mean, I imagine you didn't like do this one by one with buckets and
you see this flying
like
machine?
Yeah.
We designed a
It's
flying
actually-
machine to help us, kind of assist us in placing all this lava. It's actually
Yeah.
a really cool
Yeah,
time
the lava
lapse
flows
placing all
down.
these.
Yeah, it's not lava sources. It's just lava sources on the top.
Right, okay.
We just used this flying machine to place them, and then we moved it forward and placed the next sources.
Right, I see. Okay. Very nice.
The other thing is that meant that we also had to remove all of the lava from everywhere else. So we couldn't have like, because we don't know where in like the sub trunk that's going to be random ticked. So you have to have either all of the sub trunk filled with lava or none of it. So we had to remove all of the random lava lakes underneath.
Right.
To make sure they wouldn't get random ticked.
That's also a thing that we could, that we still need to do if we find a new location, but we wouldn't have to do it in this massive scale anymore because we found.
Yeah, essentially
out how
this
to do
was
it in a
like,
better way.
you know, this is kind of like a working project. First thing we had to do is like figure out to make it work. We had to actually get to work, and then we actually built it up in survival. But during the process of us discovering this and testing this and building this in survival, we learned a lot of new information, which if we would do this over again, we could definitely improve upon our design here.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And you said about the random tick. So was it just lava that you had to worry about, or was it like any block that got random ticked in the game?
Not any block. Only blocks. So basically, any block which once it gets random ticked, it has to do something extra random. So like, for example, with lava, once it gets random ticked, it has to pick a random block to set fire to, right?
Right.
So like not every block, but only some of them, like lava, fire, grass, which blocks does it spread to, that kind of stuff. I think it was right after we removed all that lava that I discovered that this isn't the perfect location, and there was the problem with the like redirecting lightning. No, I felt so bad because like everybody had spent so much time moving all the lava.
So I noticed we're also getting some skeleton sources outside the farm. Like there's some on this roof over here, and there's some in the water. Is that because there's just other lightning strikes that go on as well as what's inside the trunk?
That's because people hop through the portal. So when you hop through the portal, essentially you're moving the area which is getting random ticked around you. Right. So right now it's super centered on that player that's AFKing right beside the farm. There's a player here at the farm. But when you come over, you're loading extra chunks, which changes where the game is going to summon the lightning.
Right, I see.
And the lightning is skewed off to the side. So you'll see some put over here on top of the... this is another farm that's here. There's some over in the water, and there's some over another piece of water over here. And that's what's going on there.
Water are definitely...
Yeah, so essentially, while the farm is going on, we can talk about what's going on. So lightning is striking these cobble walls, and this will put the entity at that block location. Since the wall is a little bit higher than a normal block, the entity will be inside of it a little bit, just because it works on cobble walls. Then they will continue clipping through and fall down into this funnel here. I believe you're near the funnel, right, Logic?
Yeah, I'm right inside, so I can see the all the pistons firing, and it's
Yeah.
pushing all the skeleton horses all the way to the center.
Oh yeah, that's
Xerox-
super laggy, those pistons.
Xerox calls this the funnel of doom. So yeah, he pushes everything close to the center, and these are all trap horses. So as soon as they get within 10 blocks of the player, they will turn into horsemen.
Oh, of course, yeah. So at the top
That's
there, all the
also
kind of
horses.
a problem because sometimes they glitch through and fall down at the sides.
And essentially, what's going on is one entity turns into 8 entities. So we can easily get really high numbers, and we have to be really careful about that.
Why we
Yep, so up here is where the player is AFKing. So right in here, I have my alt account AFKing, and he's doing some really specific things. Actually, on a specific block that he has to stay in order to get the correct place, random ticked around him, in order for the lightning to strike here. And essentially, he's kind of starting the whole thing. There's switches where we can start up the farm. It does a bunch of stuff which we will explain. But he's also here to kill them too, because we're going after Protection 8 helmets, which we will explain as well. So he is an important part of the farm. So essentially what happens first is their player, which is this guy here, will sleep in this bed over here. And this is the bed that kind of starts it.
Right.
And this bed, once slept in, will send a signal, because you can, with observers, you can detect when players are inside of beds. And it'll send a signal which goes around and eventually sends a minecart into the nether. And that's how we
right, yes.
entity, which is a minecart. So that's going to tell the system that we have set the day to 0. So when the day, when you sleep in bed, the day sunlight gets reset to 0.
Yep.
That allows us to know exactly what the server daytime is. Yeah. Because every time you sleep in the bed, you reset the day and also resets the weather. That was kind of interesting. How
maybe
we're like, we got the lightning farm first to work, and we're like, oh, that's so cool. And we're like, what if we can actually manipulate the weather to get the weather we want? Like, we want lightning all the time. And then it's like, well, it's possible, but only if we know when like the rain is reset, so we know the value of the rain. And I'm like, what if we just sleep in a bed? When you wake up, it resets the weather.
Yeah.
And Xerox checked it, and Xerox is like, it works. It's like, oh my goodness, we just made weather manipulation.
So when you're designing something like this, how much of it is kind of code digging and how much of it is like experimentation in the actual game itself? Like what kind of proportions maybe?
I think it's about 50-50 with this. But towards the end, when we started doing a lot of stuff in survival, it started becoming like more like 80% survival or 80% like survival testing and the rest coding. The beginning was mostly coding.
Yeah, actually, I made a crappy mod that just
the way it
displays
usually
every time the weather changes.
The way it usually starts is like you have an idea,
yeah,
and then you kind of want to test it. So you can either test it like in game, or you can test it like by trying to look in the code, kind of verify stuff, or you can like mod the game to test it. But a lot of times it has to start with an idea. It's pretty difficult to just like look through the code and happen across something that's that's unusual. It does happen. Some examples.
Yeah, it's usually you're looking for something else and then you find something. you don't say, oh, I'm looking for this, I don't know, duping bug, and you're not going to find it that way.
Yep. So after we send that minecart through the portal and it kind of starts it, then we have to wait all the way until it turns almost for the weather to actually switch, because you just slept in bed, so it can't produce like rain right away because you just reset it.
Right.
So then when it can rain, then that's when we make it do rain, and then when it rains, and then it starts thundering. So then after that's all kind of on the nether side that you guys seen already. So after that occurs, then we kind of have some other circuitry to help keep it going. So we just need to constantly be loading a new chunk every time we want the lightning to continue to strike. And that's what the grids are kind of down below us, the things that kind of go away from us.
All right, yep.
That's what they're doing. So this one redstone line here actually turns it on, and this is just kind of for convenience. We have everything kind of hooked up to one switch, so we can turn everything on. So this goes all the way over to another device, and this is a lazy processing chunk detector, or I guess it's also autosave detector. And essentially what this does is it's so far away from the player is because we need to kind of keep track of the outer bounds of the chunks that the player is loading, and then we can tell. Well, what we'll do is we'll kind of load one extra chunk more than what the player's loading, and then as soon as the game does his autosave, it's going to remove that chunk, and then we can detect it with this machine here, built by Ed Example, one of the ProtoTech members. And essentially, it can detect a 1/20th of a second change in the game, and then we can clearly say the game has saved. And because we know when the game saved, then we can determine when every other chunk from now on is going to be removed. Because like when the game saves, it removes any extra chunks. So if we load any extra chunks out here, when it saves, it's going to clear all those, then we can start loading them once again.
Right, okay.
So essentially, this grid is just a big kind of update thing. So I think we got about every 2 game ticks, we're going to send a update to a new chunk, and that's going to allow it so that we get one more lightning strike. So we get one more lightning strike in that farm over there, and then we update another one to get another lightning strike, and this just continues.
Oh, I see. Is it okay to fly over and have a look?
Yep. It's about, well, it's quite long. Which direction you want to go?
Long.
Oh, right, yeah.
Quite long is my favorite time of the day.
I just want to point out there's a gap here. So there's 4 lines of gap and then 2 extra lines. That's so that we don't entity process any of these chunks. They're all lazy loaded, just saves on lag.
Well, yeah, it's pretty long. So is it the same distance in both directions?
I believe so. It's probably within a chunk.
Okay.
Same.
Wow.
And if you notice this, it's not very pretty. Like.
Yep.
It's cobblestone and rails.
Is this because was this automated? Was this, did you have like okay.
Yeah, we can actually show you that. So if we go, which way is that? That is south. So if we go to the far south end, you'll actually be able to see the machines, which we AFK'd to build the majority of these lines. We had to come in and put some observers in by hand, but pretty cool. We actually designed a specific fly machine that can generate a cobble walkway in the air and also put in rails at the same time.
Wow.
And we ran, what is it, there's 6 of these? Yeah, we just ran 6 of these. It's kind of cool. Just having like a bunch of people like trying to race their flying machines across building rails.
Wow.
Nudicus remembers that.
3 is in the lead.
That was pretty fun.
Okay, so these flying machines, they lay down all the cobble and the rails on top, and then you come back afterwards manually and put in the observers where you need to put them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Doctor,
yeah.
Can you get me
so one player would AFK each of these machines, and the player could do everything from inside this machine. Kind of has a rail duper in there, has a cobblestone generator. It's all able to be flown across the world.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Yep, and the player, he's going to be whacking at them.
And
essentially, we want the player to try to get the looting effect applied to the skeleton. Skeletons are riding the horses, because those skeletons, the way the game puts them into the game is it applies enchanting twice. It applies it once as them being a skeleton. It applies them again as being a horseman. So like, hey, you're a horseman, you get these special enchantments, but they already gave them more enchantments. So they can have double enchanted armor on them.
Right.
The one piece that they do get that's double enchanted is the helmet. So that's what horsemen always get. They always get the helmet.
Okay.
And
I should mention this double enchanting can apply conflicting enchantments as well. So it's not just like more powerful.
Right. So you can get like double the same double enchantments as well. So you get like 2.
So we can get like protection 8 as well as protection 6 in survival.
Oh, okay.
And it actually works. So we
can
get other double
protection.
Wow.
But essentially, the player is going to be whacking at those skeletons, trying to kill them. And then what we do is we drop anything that doesn't get killed. So some stuff just doesn't die. And then we'll drop it the rest away, and they'll die from fall damage. And we got some lava down below, so we can kind of move downwards. Yeah, so they hit the ground here, wherever that lava is.
Oh, yeah.
And for a brief moment, we remove the lava, allowing them to splat, dropping XPs as well as items. Then we have a helmet sort of here that was designed by Xerex. Do you want to explain it?
So all of these zombies have got unenchanted helmets. It looks like.
Yeah. So all these zombies start out with non-enchanted helmets that are at durability 0.
Okay.
and any helmet that falls down below will be enchanted, and they will take the enchanted one over their unenchanted one.
Okay.
So then they will drop their helmet that they're wearing, and it'll end up inside this machine. And this machine, what it does is it cycles around, and it feeds it back to them. So when they get the new helmet, which is they just had when they start out, that one that has durability 0 as well as unenchanted. So they'll take that helmet and they'll see it and they're like, hey, I like this one because it's 0 durability,
Right.
even though I don't have enchantment. So then they switch again.
Oh, right.
So they end up
Yeah.
switching twice. So they're kind of like undecided zombies. They don't know what they really want.
Right. So if you didn't have the contraption here, would they just constantly change hats all the time? Like constantly changing helmets?
Yep.
Right.
You know, ever seen like you had like, a bunch of pigmen and you killed a bunch of pigmen and like a whole bunch of armor on the ground or swords and they keep switching swords?
Yeah. I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the
Okay.
same thing.
Yeah, actually.
And there's a little bit extra piece on here. You notice those little special guys that we have in containers.
Yeah. I can see all these. There are a bunch of skeletons with riders with their various different armors. It looks like. So I guess are they rare occurrences?
They're quite rare. These are actually obtained during Halloween. So during Halloween in Java, mobs are given the ability to have pumpkins as well as jack-o'-lanterns spawn on them. These are undead mobs. And I think it's a like 25% chance that undead mob will have a pumpkin on its head during Halloween, and a 2.5% that it has jack-o'-lantern. The jack-o'-lanterns is considerably more rare than your pumpkins. But we can climb up this ladder over here if you see me.
I'll fly up.
Oh yeah, we can fly to the top and work our way down. Don't matter.
Okay.
So that's what we did. We kind of have some redstone here that just kind of pulls them off to the side, and we put them into like little chambers, and all these chambers down below could hold different ones. And then we just had players kind of AFKing here and manually kind of sorting out the ones that we wanted. We found something interesting, then we went to the side and we pushed them in these holding cells that we just put up here on the side.
That was such an insane day. We used up so many fishing rods.
Lamar probably.
Yeah, I noticed there was a diamond guy. Yeah, this guy here.
Oh, I think we collected 48 diamond guys during the event.
Wow.
We just stopped keeping them. We had so many. But
Yeah,
yeah,
we wanted one
is
with
that
a
a-
jack-o'-lantern.
so yeah, essentially what we want is a couple different things. So you want one with a jack-o'-lantern head because that is more rare than pumpkin.
Mm-hmm.
And if you see anything with a jack-o'-lantern head, you automatically know it came from the Halloween event, which is only 24 hours out of the entire year, so it is quite rare. And next up, we wanted some full armor set. So we wanted an armor set that was all of one type. So either leather, iron, gold, and diamond. Most rare is diamond, of course, which can spawn on mobs, just extremely rare. And I think some guys did some calculations and figured out how rare it was, but it wasn't very easy to get. And I don't think we got a single diamond guy with a jack-o'-lantern head or even a pumpkin head, but we did get a lot of variations in between. As you can see, we got quite a few here.
Yeah, you got loads. Yeah, really cool. Wow. So have you got something planned for this Halloween coming? Like a different kind of farm with trying to get this more rare mobs.
Yeah, we're actually hoping to do some RNG, but applied to other mobs. So we're thinking maybe doing zombies or pigmen. As there's actually quite a different amount of variation you can get in zombies. If you think about it, like the villager zombies, you know how they have the professions, but they have like the little clothes on them, even though they're a zombie. So you can have like different types of that. You can have a baby riding a chicken.
Okay.
You can have one that is left-handed and armor on it, etc., etc. So yeah, there is definitely a possibility to get some really cool ones of those during this Halloween.
Okay, and I think you mentioned, so you're going to have like a big museum of all these things. You're going to move these guys over to a big museum of all the different mobs you've captured.
Yes, we're hoping. We have the ProtoTech Zoo, which is a zoo where we try to capture every single mob in Minecraft, all on display in one big area. And we're slowly making our way to capture them all. And if you notice down below us, there's another whole farm underneath of us. If you look down this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole different farm. So
Okay.
while we were summoning in lightning, we're like, why don't we make a charged creeper farm? Since we got all this lightning here, and we're in 1.12, so we don't have like 1.13 tridents.
Okay.
Like, why don't we just move the lightning over by one chunk, and then we can put a new farm in and play with the lightning down there. So let's hop down there and look at that.
Okay, awesome.
So
Yeah,
my
I guess
player
it's
up there is actually hooked up to a piston. So every so often, the player normally runs the lightning farm, but then every so often he gets shifted over by about half a block.
Okay.
And then this will make them close enough to this chunk. So all the lightning is sent over here to this chunk.
Okay, so this uses, again, the fact that in this location, when a lightning strike gets redirected to an entity, it no longer spawns a skeleton horse. It's a real lightning instead.
Right, so that's why you got the armor stands. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, so underneath this is a mob farm. It's a really fast mob farm made by KK, myself, and I believe Command Black Guy. It's essentially a whole bunch of pistons that are going to every single spawning space and pushing mobs off of it, and then push them all to the center, like with a 20 blocks per second pushing conveyor for mobs. And we can actually take a look in there. There shouldn't be any mobs in there because mob switch is on, I believe. And I don't know if you don't have, I don't know if you have Fulbright on your client or not. But you can hop down in this little hole with all the armor stands. Yeah, hop down in here.
Okay.
You take a little peek
use
in
the
there.
spectator
Oh, yeah.
account.
I poked a little hole in here so you can take a peek in there. Kind of see how it works. We got pistons, we got spawning spots, which are iron, and then we push mobs off of that into this little channel, and we shove them all the way through to the far end. I can actually turn it on. Yeah, let me actually turn it on.
So the pistons along the top push the creepers into the center. They fall down, and then there's a conveyor that pushes them along in this way into this chunk. Right. So then, right. Okay. So underneath here, I guess you're gonna have a pool of creepers that end up getting struck by the lightning. Ah. Okay. Yeah.
Back center now.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm in my
this makes it
spectator
really
account.
nice.
So let's have a look at this.
So you kind of follow where all the pistons push to the center.
Okay. So the pistons are here. Right. So mobs spawn on these platforms here. The pistons push them into the middle. So they fall down this little trench, and then these slime blocks push the creepers all the way along till they get to the center, which is here. Right, so there's some water underneath, I see. So the creepers fall into this water?
So right before they fall, what we do is we synchronize this with the player up above. So we shove the player over at the exact same time the creepers are just above these armor stand lightning rods. And essentially what that does is it makes a lightning strike over here, and all the creepers that are right here are going to be converted into charged creepers.
Right.
And then they are dropped down into this hole. And once this hole, there becomes kind of like a big, huge mosh pit where we have creepers, zombies, and skeletons mostly.
Right, of course,
And
yep.
if you look through the little peeky hole and beyond the peeky hole and beyond the little armor or the little shield there, you see there's an armor or iron golem.
Yep.
And the skeletons will bob in the water. They'll see the iron golem and they'll try to take a shot at him.
Right.
And their arrows will get on the fence post. So the arrows won't be able to affect them. And essentially what they'll accidentally do is hit a creeper in front of them.
Right.
Which will be a charge creeper. And then the charge creeper will get mad and he'll go boom and he'll blow up everything in here. And for every charge creeper, every mob they kill, they will drop one skull. So then the skulls are dropped as well as all the loot.
I think they changed that they only kill, or they only drop one skull creeper.
I think that's what I said. Yeah, every skull, every creeper blows up will drop one skull. But then, yeah, we have some hopper minecarts that pick up all the loot, and then if you look around near the area, you see there is a bunch of, these are just sorting systems. And we essentially got a really, really fast mob farm too. And if you look at some of these sorters, I don't know if you can see my spectator count, but towards the end of the sorters, there is the sorter to sort out mob heads or mob skulls. Let's see if I can find you. Oh wait, we can actually fly there. We can fly there down there too if you guys want to go.
And it also spits out a lot of music discs.
Yeah, I was going to ask. I saw in one of the chests there's a shulker box full of music discs as well.
Way down here. Yeah, go ahead and hop down here. So you can see all these chests. You open them up, they're just full of loots, tons of loot.
Oh,
so,
I see. Right.
We don't know what to do with all these loots. But yeah, this produces a lot. It goes all the way up, almost to the top.
Wow.
Full of shulker boxes.
Almost.
So
have you got any plans for the skulls themselves? I mean, obviously, I guess part of doing this stuff is to like collect those kind of items in an insane quantity. You know, normally a normal player might be able to get one or two in a world generally, but when you've got like shulker boxes full of them, that's an achievement in itself. So have you got plans to use them maybe for other things?
Yeah, if you ever have like a project where you want to put in some skulls, like we just got a whole bunch, and you don't really have to think about trying to obtain them. You can just work on your project and just pick them up. You don't have to spend any extra time for like the resource gathering. Yeah, so
Still
now
find Sissy.
it's up to you, Logic. What
We
Go
could
to,
go-
go to my base.
we do. Your base is underneath the lava.
Your base
Exactly.
Yeah, the running joke is that Earth Computer Space was here, and every time people would come and ask what all the lava was for, we said that we were pranking Earth Computer Space with the lava.
We could go to my base, but it's been destroyed.
You know, one thing we kind of do with guests that we have on the server is we let them get onto some like scoreboards, some more unique scoreboards. One of the scoreboards that let's see, what is it called? If somebody wants to get a leather armor and a cauldron and water.
Ah, yes.
Clean
Cauldron.
armor.
We could also
Armor
have
clean.
Oh.
There. So we can get you onto that scoreboard with DocM77 Zoom.
Okay, cool.
Zuma,
Yeah.
I guess.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, his in-game name is Exuma. I think it used to be Exuma Boy, but he switched it. Watch
Okay,
out.
here we go. Now I'm going to get added to. In particular, I'm interested in getting added to that list with Doc M, my partner in crime on the SkyZoo. So here we go, Doc. Yes.
Yeah.
There we am. Oh no, I'm below him. I want to be above him. No.
Alphabetical.
Ah, dang it.
You're gonna have to change your name.
Okay,
But
nice one.
here, before you leave, I want you to grief our server by placing some blocks over here. If you want to place some blocks on top of this beacon, maybe some solid blocks. Here, put some solid blocks. Just so, you know, say you grief the server.
This sounds suspicious, Ray. Okay.
You can't put it here, though. That's one spot where you can't put it. Go
Yeah.
ahead and place it anywhere else here,
No,
wherever
I
you want
can't.
to place it.
No, I can't.
Just
no,
place it down.
There's no placing.
It's okay, Logic.
What have
If
you
want
done?
to,
What have you done? Oh, not that one. Okay, yeah, I can't place any blocks.
See a good friend of ours, Smokey
Okay,
Dog.
you can leave now.
He went ahead and placed 36 in this area. So there's a bunch of invisible brewing stands that we're standing inside of.
Right.
If we were to punch a pigman, he'd just respond like this.
You try to walk on top of them, but he can't.
Right.
Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of block 36 here, so you can't occupy it since there's already a block there.
But you can walk through it, but you can't place a block there.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, it's completely invisible to the player. Yeah, if you look over here, see this water is floating?
Oh yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah,
So
that's
how-
being held up by that.
So how do you actually get that? So is that what you just said with the pigman trying to walk on the?
Yep.
on the
So we have a block 36 generator.
Wow. I didn't even know that was possible.
Yeah, if you want to prank people, that's how we do it.
Wow, awesome.
Next level pranking.
All right,
Awesome.
Well, thanks very much for inviting me, Ray, and everyone else. That was really nice of you to do that. And yeah, really enjoyed having a look around. And yeah, really cool stuff. Really impressed with the kind of stuff you guys do here. It's really, really impressive. Really impressive.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I really had a lot of fun showcasing all the stuff to you.
Mhm.
Maybe someday you'll even join. Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows what might happen in the future?
Lots of fun. See ya.
Anyway,
Okay, guys.
see ya.
Thanks very much.
Have a good night.
Have
See
a
you
good one,
later.
Logic.
Thanks a lot. Bye bye.